Sports betting apps, crypto casinos, and zero DTE options have the same psychological architecture. Here is the actual wealth drain data. If you have spent any time on the internet, watching a game, or talking to a coworker over the last 3 years, you have felt it. That subtle, then sudden shift in how we talk about money. Investing has morphed into placing bets. Watching sports has morphed into sweating a 5-leg parlay. Participating in the digital economy has morphed into spinning the wheel on unregulated crypto platforms. Here is the quiet part out loud. We are living through an unprecedented, highly coordinated epidemic of middle-class wealth extraction. This isn't about pearl-clutching morality, and it is certainly not about blaming individuals for wanting to get ahead. This is a systemic personal finance emergency. As a financial educator, I look at the math, the macroeconomics, and the behavioural science. And the data is screaming at us. We have engineered a perfect storm where the psychological architecture of a slot machine has been seamlessly integrated into our smartphones, disguised as investing or entertainment. Today, we are going to tear down the walls of the modern digital casino. We are going to look at the behavioural science that makes these apps so addictive, the massive wealth transfer currently draining the middle class, and the hard data proving that this is a systemic trap designed to keep you broke. Before we dive into the data that the betting apps do not want you to see, I want to ask you for the best return on investment for your time today. Hit the subscribe button. My goal with this channel is to provide the signal in all this noise, helping you protect your capital and build a real financial future rather than a gamified one. If you want to stop being the product and start being the investor, you are in the right place. Let's follow the money. To understand why billions of dollars are evaporating from middle-class bank accounts, you first have to understand that sports betting apps like DraftKings, unregulated crypto casinos like Stake, and retail options trading platforms like Robinhood are fundamentally the exact same product. They are Skinner boxes dressed up in different user interfaces. B.F. Skinner was a psychologist who discovered the concept of the variable ratio schedule of reinforcement. If you put a rat in a box and give it a food pellet every time it hits a lever, the rat hits the lever when it is hungry and ignores it when it is full. But if you give the rat a pellet at random intervals, maybe after 3 pulls, maybe after 20, the rat will pull the lever obsessively until it dies of exhaustion. This is the exact psychological architecture underpinning the modern financial gamification complex. Every time you refresh your portfolio or check a live score, your brain is looking for that random pellet. It is not a financial decision, it is a neurological compulsion being triggered by world-class software engineers. When you buy a boring, broad market index fund, your brain doesn't register a dopamine spike. It is a deferred gratification mechanism. But when you buy a 0 days to expiration call option, or place a live in-game prop bet on whether the next pitch will be a strike, the feedback loop is instantaneous. Behavioural scientists refer to this as reducing the time to dopamine. The shorter the window between the action, placing the bet or trade, and the outcome, the more addictive the behaviour becomes. The math for the house improves as the time window shrinks. In the traditional stock market, wealth is built over decades. In the digital casino, wealth is destroyed in minutes. This isn't accidental. The apps are designed to increase your frequency of play because they know that the more often you engage with the variable ratio schedule, the more likely you are to abandon rational risk management. You aren't playing against a market. You are playing against your own reward system. And your brain is currently outgunned by billion-dollar algorithms. The most dangerous part of this architecture is the illusion of control. If you sit at a slot machine, you know on some level that you are relying on pure luck. But the apps draining middle-class wealth today are wrapped in the illusion of skill. In sports betting, you tell yourself you aren't gambling, you are a sports fan utilizing data. You listened to the podcast. You read the injury reports. In retail trading, with crypto or options, you tell yourself you are looking at moving averages and chart patterns. This triggers a well-documented cognitive bias called loss chasing. Because you believe your strategy is sound and based on skill, a loss isn't viewed as the house having a mathematical edge. It is viewed as an anomaly. So, you double down. You try to win it back because you're convinced your edge just hasn't materialized yet. This is where the middle class loses its shirt. We have rebranded high-variance gambling as sophisticated analysis, which removes the natural shame or caution that used to keep gambling in check. When the line between an investment account and a casino app blurs, the first thing to disappear is your long-term safety net. 10 years ago, if you wanted to gamble, you had to physically go to a casino. You had to go to an ATM, pull out cash, feel the physical friction of the paper leaving your hands, and hand it to a dealer. Today, Apple Pay and facial recognition allow you to deposit $500 into a sportsbook or an options account in approximately 3 seconds. The friction of spending money has been eliminated entirely. In behavioral economics, this is known as the cashless effect. When we use digital tokens, chips, or numbers on a screen, the pain centers in our brains literally do not fire the way they do when we hand over physical cash. The industry knows this. They are using UI and UX dark patterns like flashing green numbers, push notifications reminding you of free boosts, and confetti animations to keep you engaged. They have replaced the pain of losing money with the excitement of playing the game. Now that we understand the psychological trap, let's look at the first main head of this wealth-destroying monster, the legalized sports betting explosion. Because the data coming out of our states is much worse than they promised us in the commercials. If you think the psychological tricks are bad, wait until you see what is happening to the actual bank accounts in states where these apps were legalized. We were told this would fund schools and lower our taxes. Instead, a landmark study from UCLA and USC has found that for every dollar flowing into these apps, a specific and vital part of your financial future is being cannibalized. This isn't just a loss of fun money, it is a direct attack on the middle-class dream. We are seeing a 28% spike in bankruptcies in specific regions, and it is all tied to the device in your pocket. Let's look at the hard data of the sports betting tax on the middle class, and why the math of the parlay is a guaranteed wealth killer. In 2018, the Supreme Court opened the floodgates for legalized sports betting. The promise was tax revenue for schools and infrastructure. The reality is a highly efficient vacuum siphoning money from middle-class wallets directly into the pockets of massive conglomerates. According to the American Gaming Association, Americans legally wagered a staggering $119 billion on sports in 2023. From that, the sportsbooks kept nearly $11 billion in revenue. Let's pause and look at that from a personal finance perspective. Nearly $11 billion was removed from the consumer economy in a single year. That is $11 billion that did not go into 401ks, did not go toward down payments on homes, did not go into emergency funds, and did not go toward paying down high-interest credit card debt. When we talk about the middle class struggling to keep up with inflation, we have to account for the fact that we have invited a parasite into our economy that is extracting billions of dollars of discretionary income every single month. This isn't a passive loss. It is an active transfer of wealth from the many to the very few, fueled by the convenience of a smartphone app that never closes and never stops prompting you to play. If you want to see the systemic damage, look no further than a landmark 2024 working paper from researchers at UCLA Anderson and USC Marshall. The study, titled The Financial Consequences of Legalized Sports Gambling, tracked consumer financial data in states before and after legalization. The findings are terrifying. First, consumer credit scores dropped by roughly 1%. That sounds small, but across a population, it is massive, and affects your ability to get a mortgage or a car loan. Second, there was a 28% increase in bankruptcies and a significant spike in debt being sent to third-party collection agencies. But the most damning find was the substitution effect. The researchers found a negative correlation between sports betting and net investments. For every dollar a consumer spent on sports betting, their contributions to investment accounts, like brokerage accounts and IRAs, dropped by roughly 14%. This is the systemic angle in a nutshell. Sports betting isn't just a harmless hobby, it is actively cannibalizing middle-class future wealth. It is pulling capital away from compound interest-generating vehicles and funneling it into a mathematically guaranteed loss. You aren't just losing the money today, you are losing the decades of growth that money would have provided. You are trading your retirement for a 3-hour dopamine hit. How are the sportsbooks making such massive margins? The answer is the parlay. A parlay is a bet where you combine multiple outcomes. If one fails, the whole bet loses. Sportsbooks push parlays relentlessly because the math heavily favors the house. According to data from various state gaming commissions, sportsbooks hold or keep as profit about 4 to 5% of straight bets. But for parlays, the hold is consistently between 15 and 20%. When sportsbooks offer you a same-game parlay boost, it is not a gift. It is a mathematical trap designed to drain your bank account faster. They are dressing up a lower probability event as a high-reward opportunity, knowing that the variance will eventually wipe you out. If you walk into a casino and they offer you a free drink to play a specific game, you know why they are doing it. These app boosts are the digital equivalent of that free drink. They are designed to lower your inhibitions and get you to play the games with the highest house edge. It is a sophisticated extraction of wealth disguised as a fun way to engage with the game. The protocol for defending yourself against this specific drain is simple but requires discipline. You have to categorize sports betting as a pure entertainment expense, never an investment. If you want to put $20 on a game because it makes it fun to watch with your friends, that is a movie ticket. Budget for it and expect to lose it. But the moment you find yourself looking at a betting app to solve a financial problem or to make a quick buck, you have already lost. The only way to win in a system with a 20% hold is to not play the game frequently enough for the math to catch up to you. I recommend setting a strict monthly limit in the app settings, or, better yet, deleting the app entirely during the off-season to break the habit loop. Remember, every dollar you don't put into a parlay is a dollar that can actually work for you in the real economy. Before we move on to the world of crypto casinos and the hidden dangers of zero DTE options, let's talk about the antidote to this chaos. The reason these apps are so successful is that they provide a clear, gamified interface for your money. To fight back, you need a better system for your own wealth. This is why I created the ultimate personal finance dashboard. It is the exact spreadsheet system I use to track my net worth, manage my budget, and see the long-term impact of compound interest. Instead of watching a parlay ticker, you can watch your actual wealth grow. It includes a debt payoff tracker and a monthly budget planner designed to give you that same sense of control without the house edge. If you are serious about moving from the gambling class to the investing class, click the link in the description to get your copy. It is the best ROI you can give your future self. It is about taking the data back and using it for your benefit instead of the sports books. Now, let's look at the wild west of wealth extraction, the crypto casino. If sports betting is the federally regulated trap, the unregulated crypto casino is the wild west of wealth extraction. Over the past few years, platforms like Stake have exploded in popularity. They have done this by paying massive contracts to influencers to gamble live in front of millions of viewers. The systemic tragedy here is the demographic. The audience for these streams is overwhelmingly young men, Gen Z, and young millennials. These are people in the critical early stages of their wealth-building years. Instead of learning about dollar-cost averaging into an S&P 500 index fund, they are watching their favorite streamers spin virtual slot machines with Bitcoin. This is creating a generation of people who view money as a digital token rather than a tool for freedom. Because these platforms operate offshore and use VPNs to bypass regulations, there is virtually no consumer protection. You are playing in a digital environment where the house doesn't just have an edge, they often have total control over the ecosystem. This isn't just about losing a few bucks, it is about the normalization of extreme risk as the only way to get ahead in a difficult economy. Crypto casinos rely on a psychological double layer of abstraction. First, you have to convert your hard-earned dollars into a cryptocurrency. This instantly decouples the value from reality in your brain. Second, you deposit that crypto into the casino, where it is often represented by on-screen tokens or simply an arbitrary digital number. Because the underlying asset is highly volatile, you lose track of the actual purchasing power of what you are gambling. You aren't losing $1,000, you're just losing a tiny fraction of a Bitcoin. This layer of separation is a dream for behavioral engineers. It bypasses the parts of your brain that regulate spending and caution. It makes the loss feel theoretical until you try to pay your rent and realize your bank account is empty. This is why these platforms are so much more dangerous than traditional casinos. The friction is zero, and the abstraction is total. You are playing a video game with your life savings, and the game is designed to ensure you eventually hit zero.
Why are young people falling for this?
It comes down to a concept called financial nihilism. Younger generations are looking at a housing market where the median home price is over $400,000, interest rates are high, and inflation has eroded their purchasing power. Traditional financial advice, like skipping the latte, feels insulting when a down payment feels millions of miles away. So, they give up on the slow, proven path to wealth and turn to extreme variance. They try to gamble their way to the middle class. The crypto casino offers the false promise of an overnight financial rescue. But the mathematical reality of house edges means that the longer they play, the probability of ruin approaches 100%. This nihilism is a self-fulfilling prophecy. By trying to jump the queue with high-risk gambling, they ensure they remain permanently locked out of the asset-owning class. They are trading their most valuable asset, time, for a lottery ticket that has already been rigged. This is the heart of the epidemic, the destruction of hope, replaced by the flicker of a digital slot machine. If you think you are safe because you don't bet on sports or play crypto slots, you might want to look closer at your brokerage account. There is a product being sold to you as an investment that is actually more dangerous than a roulette wheel. It is called Zero DTE options, and it now accounts for nearly half of all trading volume on the S&P 500. It is the ultimate middle-class trap because it feels like work. It feels like finance. But the data shows that retail traders are losing billions of dollars to Wall Street market makers every single year through this specific mechanism. If you want to see how the house always wins on Wall Street, we need to talk about the Robin Hoodification of the stock market. During the pandemic, trading apps gamified the stock market. They introduced confetti when you made a trade and made complex financial derivatives accessible to anyone with a smartphone. The peak of this danger is the explosion of zero DTE options. 0 days to expiration options are contracts that expire on the exact same day they are traded. You are literally betting on what a stock will do in the next few hours. This is not investing. It is guessing black or red on a roulette wheel, but with market ticker symbols. These contracts are inherently decaying assets. Because they expire the same day, their value drops rapidly as the clock ticks toward the market close. If you buy a 0 DTE call option and the market moves sideways, you lose 100% of your investment. It is the equivalent of buying a lottery ticket that catches fire in your hand at 4 p.m. Yet, retail investors are flocking to these products because they offer the allure of massive leverage and quick wins. In reality, they are providing the liquidity for Wall Street firms to profit, while the average trader gets wiped out. The data on zero DTE trading is a bloodbath for the retail investor. A study from the Kellogg School of Management found that retail investors consistently lose money on options due to transaction costs, massive bid-ask spreads, and mathematical disadvantages. Massive Wall Street firms, known as market makers, profit off the bid-ask spread. Every time you buy and sell a zero DTE option, the market maker shaves a tiny fraction of a penny off the top. Multiply that by millions of trades a day, and it equates to billions of dollars of guaranteed profit for Wall Street. This mechanism is called payment for order flow. When you use a commission-free trading app, you are not the customer, you are the product. Your trading data is sold to market makers who profit off your frantic, dopamine-fueled buying and selling. The house in this case is the institutional trader with faster computers and better data. You are playing a game of high-speed chess against a supercomputer while you are distracted by push notifications. The systemic drain here is massive, as it funnels the capital of aspiring investors directly into the balance sheets of the largest financial institutions in the world. Let's pull back and look at the systemic angle. We cannot look at these three traps in isolation. They are symptoms of a broader macroeconomic squeeze. The middle class does not have an infinite well of disposable income. If billions are flowing into sportsbooks and options market makers, it has to be reallocated from somewhere else. First, we are seeing a direct overlap between young consumers funding gambling accounts via credit cards and the rise in consumer debt, which has surpassed $1.1 trillion. Second, there is a massive opportunity cost. If a 25-year-old loses $5,000 a year on these apps, they aren't just losing $5,000. They are losing the $50,000 that money would have become over 30 years in an index fund. The total opportunity cost of this epidemic is in the trillions. We are witnessing an upward transfer of wealth from the working class to multi-billion-dollar corporations, fueled by a regulatory failure that allows these companies to gamify the exact behaviors that keep people broke. We have made the casino accessible 24/7 on the devices we carry in our pockets. So, how do we fight back? The only way to win is to refuse to play their game. You must build immunity against the gamification of your finances. Step 1 is to audit your dopamine. You have to separate entertainment from wealth building. If you want to spend money on a game, budget for it as an expense. But never view a parlay, a crypto coin, or a zero DTE option as a way to make money or get ahead. Step 2 is to re-embrace boring finance. True wealth building is overwhelmingly boring. It does not send you push notifications or feature confetti. The antidote is automated, broad market index fund investing. Set up an auto transfer to buy a low-cost fund every time you get paid. Delete the apps from your phone so you don't check the balance every day. Let the math of compound interest do the heavy lifting. By removing the excitement, you remove the trap. You are taking your capital out of the casino and putting it into the productive economy where it belongs. If you find value in these deep dives and want to stay grounded in a world designed to distract you, consider joining our community as one of the optimizers. By clicking the Join button, you support the independent research that goes into these videos. You will get custom sketch badges and priority replies to your comments. It is a way to surround yourself with people who are focused on real growth rather than the latest parlay boost. We are building a community of people who value the slow, steady path to freedom. It is the best way to ensure you stay on track when the next gamified app tries to steal your attention and your capital. Join us, and let's build something real together. Now, let's wrap this up with the ultimate reframe of the gambling epidemic. The online gambling epidemic is the ultimate middle-class tax. It is a tax on hope and a tax on our brain's natural wiring. The corporations running these platforms have armies of behavioral psychologists and advanced algorithms focused entirely on moving the money in your checking account into their corporate treasuries. Recognizing this isn't about feeling shame. It's about waking up to the reality of the battlefield. The moment you see the architecture for what it is, a systemic wealth extraction machine, it loses its power. Real financial empowerment comes from protecting your capital and letting the agonizingly slow, incredibly powerful math of compound interest build your actual wealth. The casino only wins if you walk through the doors. It is time to delete the apps and take your money back. I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you felt this shift in your own life or seen it in your friends? Let's get the data together and help each other stay out of the trap.